Brian Palaviro Far here with Alex Varner before the 2015 North Face Championships. How are you, Alex?
Good, thanks, Brian. How are you?
All right. You've had some really good runs this year. You had Lake Sonoma back this spring.
Yep.
And then you had not as good runs. You had an okay run at IAU World Champs.
Yeah.
And then a not so good run at Western States.
Yeah. Just kind of wasn't clicking at that point. I went into IAU really optimistic and just didn't have the race I wanted to, and I think, I'd like to say part of that was due to the course and being physically unable to train for that sort of terrain here. But I got a little bit out of it mentally, and I remember seeing you at halfway, and it had kind of turned into a training run. And I was having a little bit of a pity party, and that lasted a couple months longer than I'd hoped, I think.
So what? Obviously, you didn't make it through Western States.
Yeah.
What were you up to a couple months after that?
Not a lot. Just, I had this kind of outside shin, soft tissue niggling thing that was almost harder to deal with than something that's kind of more acute, like a stress fracture or a strain, because it would feel better after 3 or 4 days, and then I'd run a day or two, and then it would regress. And so finally, it took me 4 or 5 weeks of figuring that out, being an idiot about it. And then finally, I had to just take 2 straight weeks off, and that brought me basically to, close to the end of August. I think, spectating Headlands 50K was one of my first solid runs. And then from there, I've been healthy and running well. I started up working, doing workouts again around then. So I had, a couple of months of workouts under my belt, and things were clicking. Nothing too big to deal with injury-wise, health-wise. So yeah, I was able to rattle off a pretty good training block in the fall.
And then last weekend happened. You ran quad dipsy.
Yep.
Crushed Mackey's course record. Did that restore some of your confidence?
Yeah, it was nice. I knew I had it in me. It was just a matter of executing. A lot of times, I kind of saw this with Dylan heading into Western States, where you kind of put all your eggs in one basket, and while that's both terrifying and kind of it's more terrifying than anything, I think, just because you do all this training for one race, and then you have that one day to execute, and if something goes wrong, that you kind of feel as though you've blown that whole months of training. So to have it work out that well the way it did, it's not something I've taken for granted. It was awesome, and it went probably better than I could have hoped.
Yeah. And you have a big race a week after.
Yeah.
I mean, one can say that, okay, it's silly, you have to choose one or the other, but there's plenty of people, whether, in ultra running or on the track or whatever, that you can nail 2 runs back to back.
Yeah, and I think, I kind of tried something similar at Lake Sonoma in Boston this year, and it's kind of going the other way distance-wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, the week between was just making sure that I didn't do anything to set my recovery back. I'm going to try to go hobble around on the bike path after this, and we'll see how it feels. And I might not run more than 20 or 30 minutes any given day this week if that's what my body wants. And that being said, if I still feel bad or sore or tired within the first 10-15 miles of North Face, I won't hesitate to drop. I've learned I have to listen to my body, and pushing through 35 or 40 extra miles of a race of that quality and that terrain is just not smart and not healthy. And I've got Club National cross country race in 2 weeks anyway, so
now
there's that.
I don't know, through my own personal experience at least, I've found it really great sometimes to run a shorter race before a longer race, in that you're kind of just more used to that intensity.
Yeah,
feels more comfortable. You're going to bring some of that to the longer race.
Yeah,
you might not have been willing to going the other way around, or just with a standalone
exactly.
race.
And I think the lucky thing with the quad being before the North Face is last year, North Face was kind of my goal race in the fall, and I nailed it pretty well. And this year, quad was, I didn't kind of pull any punches, saying that was the race I wanted. And as a result, North Face will be, I'm going to listen to my body and see what happens. And if I feel good, then yeah, I'm going to go out there and push. And if I don't, I'm not going to stress about it. Saturday was kind of the big one. And yeah, you're right. I think it's nice that I don't have to kind of hold any punches back if I'm feeling good. I can just go for it and not really worry about anything. I've kind of almost having a built-in excuse.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's nice to just kind of have that kind of dipsy monkey off my back. and be able to just go out and see what happens.
I think that's the first use ever of the phrase "dipsy monkey," but I like it. I mean, do you feel like you almost took some pressure off yourself for this coming weekend in that?
Yeah, absolutely. If I'd gone out and crapped the bed at Quad Dipsy, just even if I'd finished, I'd be, okay, great, now I have tired legs, and I didn't run a good race, and I'm angry, and so, if North Face goes bad, I'm going to feel even worse. I would kind of feel like I'd have to go try for redemption the week after, and I don't feel any need of that sort. Headed into this weekend.
Gotcha. Well, let's both head out for a run. Got a couple of minutes a day.
Yeah, exactly. Let's try to catch it before we start tripping on the path.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.